Good. This is the 30th session. There have been 42 guest speakers, 42 past members that it sounds like they've landed jobs, and lots of new landings in May. And there's 1,000 plus members in LinkedIn and counting. So keep on sharing and talking about this opportunity, this space. The more we share, the better. All right, so we have our first speaker. Is Jessica Smith here?
Hi.
Where are you? There you are. Okay, great. So I'm going to do a quick introduction. Great to see you, Jessica. Jessica is an IT client development manager at ProSyntics. It's customized IT solutions and she specializes in recruiting. And it says here that you're a sergeant major, but I think that's from last week. So I am just going to go off the slide. And
Yeah, that's definitely not me. Maybe
but
just in my own home, but
it,
yeah.
hey, okay, I hear that. So um, to this, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little more about you, and then share one piece of insider knowledge that many job seekers might not be aware of, but would find incredibly helpful in their job search. And since you're a IT client development manager and recruitment, we want to know. So the floor is yours, Jessica.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. The intro was correct. So, I do IT client development. My firm is local here to Charlotte, but we place people in at least 22 different states right now, and we're growing. So we specialize in custom IT solutions, specifically around cloud, digital, cybersecurity, and infrastructure. And we offer talent services and co-managed solutions. I have been in the IT space for about 2.5 years, but I've been in the staffing arena for about 6 years. So, and when I said the sergeant major of my own home, I am a wife, mom, um, pet owner, family planner, all the things that go with balancing work and life. So, but I've actually been able to sit in on quite a few of the sessions, and I think they're always really helpful. I've found the information to be great, and I will just say that I think LinkedIn is such an amazing resource. There are so many tools you can utilize within that platform to really help you in your job search. So everything you've heard is great, and definitely just keep using LinkedIn as much as you can. Um, my insider knowledge and advice snippet is just perspective is everything. So I feel like we've talked a lot about what it takes to get the interview or get the conversation going, but not a ton about how that conversation goes. Um, for some context, there was a podcast clip that went viral a few weeks ago. It's from the Diary of a CEO, and it's where the CEO of Skims and Good American said her red flag that a candidate asks in an interview is always tell me about work life balance. And she goes on to say like why that question is a turnoff for her, but eventually kind of gets around to the point that companies are operating now with a certain level of flexibility, and it's not the company's job to figure out how you can balance your personal and professional life. We all know that work life balance is important, but it's how you talk about that and phrase questions like that can kind of make or break an interview. So, another really good example is when you're talking to future employers and during the interview process, the question always comes up, why are you on the job market? And there can be simple reasons. You were laid off due to budget constraints, contract ended, they downsized, whatever the case. Those are all considered very safe, unquestionable answers. But if there's another reason, let's say you were fired, you didn't like the environment, the job wasn't what you thought, whatever the reason may be, you have to be very careful in how you describe that situation. So The reasoning could be very understandable and very valid, but especially someone who is meeting you for the first time may not be so empathetic or understanding to your reasons. Part of being professional is knowing how to keep your personal feelings in check and not take that baggage into interviews. If you're spilling, your guts out on the interview, it can give the impression that you won't be able to keep things professional in the workplace. Um, Interviewing can be very difficult, and I do feel like a lot of times we look at the job description on LinkedIn and we try to check every single box off, and we overcomplicate and overthink things trying to just be the perfect candidate. So, my advice is utilize recruiters that you're connected with. If you have friends or network connections that are hiring managers, doesn't matter the industry or the job, even ChatGPT, ask what are their red flags that they see in interviews and play devil's advocate with yourself. Truly think if there are any commonalities you might have in terms of those red flags. If you were a hiring manager and a candidate gave this answer, would you see that as a red flag? If so, try to think of a way that you can answer that question a little better. You never not want to be yourself, and everybody loves talking about themselves. We all love the sound of our own voice and our name. But so when you're talking about yourself, like, you show warmth and enthusiasm. But when we're discussing, past finicky or tricky situations or work experience, we always want to maintain a calm, logical, even keeled tone. First impressions matter, and they do not always work out the way that we want them to. So try to think back on any interview feedback you've received in the past that may have cost you an opportunity, and just consider how can you rephrase or reframe those answers to better highlight your strengths, the growth that you've had, and your readiness for new opportunities. So my insider knowledge is interviewers get turned off by candidates for all different reasons, and navigating the job market is tough, but not impossible. So think back on any interviews you've had or questions you weren't sure how to answer, and try to reflect on if you presented any possible red flags. If so, utilize your resources, your connections, ChatGPT, me, always happy to answer, and just figure out how you could better rephrase those answers. That's it.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Jessica. We have now Q&A session. If you are so Jimmy, I think you can turn it off now, the recording.